Good morning. We're going to deal with Write CNC test number 2. And we're not talking about the DXF file. No, we're talking about our connections test. So when setting up your table, you may encounter situations where the motors aren't working properly, or let's say you have a single motor that's not working properly, and we need to be able to test for that. This test here will allow you to test that motor individually to see if it's a problem with the connection in the motor itself, or if it's something that's internal. So we want to be able to remove variables from an equation. So this is a driver test as well as a motor test. So let's go to a system. All right, I'm going to grab a screwdriver here. And I'm going to use the 2x2 system here as an example. So here's a smaller control box. Now your control box may be different, as it is probably going to be one of the larger scale control boxes, but this will allow us to operate on a smaller scale. Now, right here I have X, Y, Z, P, and T. Now larger scale control boxes are going to have X, Y, Z, A, P, F, T. Again, that's just with the expanded tables, but this system of testing is really only going to deal with the X, Y, Z, and of course on the bigger systems, the A. And what you'll do to appropriately test this is you would actually remove, with the control box off, mind you, remove the motor cables. And you'll take the motor that is causing you issues. So let's say my X-axis was fouling out on me for some reason. I want to see if it's the motor or if it's this port here in this box. If it's this port, then we can replace parts inside of this control box. If it is the motor, then we'll be able to tell by switching it to another port. So we're going to take our X axis and then put it into the Y port, which we know is working correctly, and make sure that our X, Z, and A are all pulled out. Again, this system doesn't have an A, but we want to make sure that X, Z, and A are all pulled out so we can test this motor individually. So we can see, okay, it is this motor causing the issue and not necessarily the driver. If by switching it, we get normal action. So if I switch this and this system then moves left to right appropriately without having that same issue, then it's going to be this port here that causes the issue. So if I plug this into here and all of a sudden I get a grinding again, but I plug it into here and there is no grinding, then it isn't the motor or the motor cable, it's going to be that port. And that's how we test out to see whether it's a motor issue or a control issue. From there, we can then accelerate this test into another one of our other tests that we're building and running right now. So, control box off, pull out all the cables for your motors, take the one motor that you seem to have issues with, plug it into a different port, turn on your control box and test to see if it goes left and right or up or down or however it needs to go in comparison to what it's supposed to be doing. So, run that, let me know the results, and we can help solve any issue that you have. So with that, that's testing connections 1, test number 2.